Let the bass kick. Let the bass kick.
Think about it. 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 Think about it.
the bass kick.
Think about it. 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 Think about it.
All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to this November 1, Tuesday, Board of County Commissioners meeting. Our first order of business is our call to order, and we have all 5 commissioners present on the dais. And item number 1 on the agenda is the invocation, and this will be given this morning by Bernadette Wilkie from the Boulder Street Church. Thank you for coming. Please rise, everybody, and pray in your own way.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we ask your blessing on this gathering today as we discuss the matters of governing the people of El Paso County. We beseech you for your divine wisdom and direction. I pray you bless our commissioners and all those who serve the public. Bless their families and relationships. Bless them financially and with good health. We pray these blessings also for all the people of El Paso County. Bring an end to crime, addictions, and abuse. Shine your light of favor on our healthcare providers, emergency responders, law enforcement, and businesses. Bless our schools, families, and churches. Keep them safe. Protect and prosper them, we pray. We ask for true justice in our courts and lawmaking, protecting the rights and freedoms of all our citizens. Teach us your ways, that we may be known as a county who cares for each other. And we ask these things in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Thank you for that prayer. Commissioner Williams, if you could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty. All right, let's proceed with the agenda. Item number 3.
Item number 3 is staff emergency items, and there are no requests for staff emergency items.
Very well. Item number 4.
Item number 4 is changes, postponements, and notice of the next meeting. There are a couple of changes to the agenda today. There's a request to consider item number 9 after item number 5. And then there is a request to continue item number 5L3 to November 8th, and that will require a motion. And then the next meeting will be today at 1:00 p.m. for the land use.
All right, very good. And on that second item, that was item 5L3. And what was the future date?
November 8th.
November 8th. Thank you. All right, so let's move on to item number 5. And I'll make the I'll ask someone to make the motion in a moment. Let's just read item 5.
Mr. Chair, item 5 consists of the consent calendar 5A1 through 5L3, but it would exclude 5L3 if the board's going to consider a motion to continue that to November 8th.
Very good, thank you. I'll entertain a motion from any of the commissioners for item 5L3.
I move to postpone item 5L3 to a date certain of November 9th.
Was that November 8th?
November 8th.
November 8th, I will second that.
We're not going to meet on the 9th, sorry.
All right, there is a motion made to move item 5L3 to a date certain, November 8th, and a second. Are there any comments or questions from any of the commissioners on moving that item? All right, hearing none, let's proceed with the vote. Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner?
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Aye.
Commissioner Bremer?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 5-0. Item 5 has been read. So is there anybody in the audience that would like to comment on any of the items on the consent calendar? All right, is there anybody online? No, okay. And seeing none, I'll bring this up to the dais. Are there any commissioners that have any questions or comments relating to any of the items on item 5? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve items 5A through 5L2.
Second. Sorry.
I don't know if we had 2 seconds there or not.
I'll defer to Cammie.
Okay, Cammie has made the second then. And let's go ahead and proceed with the vote since there were no comments previously. Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner?
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Aye.
Commissioner Bremer?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. The consent calendar items up through 5L2 are now passed. And then we did move item 9 forward to right after item 5, so item 9 is up next.
Item number 9 is the proclamation recognizing National Adoption Month. Cammie Bremer, Vice Chair, Board of County Commissioners.
Commissioner Bremer?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And as I'm reading this, if we have any members of the audience who are here for this particular proclamation, move on towards the front. And I would like to move the following proclamation recognizing National Adoption Month. Whereas National Adoption Month has been recognized for more than 3 decades as a collective national effort to raise awareness of the more than 120,000 children in foster care across the United States, waiting to find permanent, loving families. And whereas El Paso County completed 523 adoptions for children in foster care or kinship care over the last 5 years. And of those, 239 were kin or kin-like adoptions. And whereas in the past 5 years, El Paso County completed 89 adoptions for youth aged 10 or older. And whereas 55 adoptions have been completed in 2022, and there is currently an active search for adoptive families for 44 El Paso County children. And whereas the El Paso County Department of Human Services has a primary mission to strengthen families, assure the safety of children, and improve the overall quality of life in our community. And whereas the El Paso County Department of Human Services, with its many private, community-based, and nonprofit partners, plays a vital role in maintaining and increasing citizen involvement in adoption so that waiting children can find stable and permanent homes. And whereas it is with genuine appreciation that we recognize all El Paso County adoptive parents and the many dedicated adoption professionals who work to connect foster children with loving families. Now, therefore, the Board of County Commissioners of El Paso County, Colorado, hereby recognizes November as Adoption Month in El Paso County and proclaims its sincere gratitude to our region's adoptive families who have opened their hearts and homes to provide love and stability for the youngest members of our society, helping them grow into successful adults and building the future of El Paso County. Done this first day of November 2022 at Colorado Springs, Colorado, the Board of County Commissioners of El Paso County signed Stan Vanderwerf, Chair, Cammie Bremer, Vice Chair, Lojinos Gonzalez Jr., Holly Williams, and Carrie Geithner, members, and attested to by County Clerk and Recorder Chuck Broerman.
Second.
I see that there were 2 commissioners willing to offer the second, and I was willing to as well, but Commissioner Geithner has the second for this proclamation. All right. Well, thank you very much for reading that, Commissioner Bremer. And I think we have a few folks here that have a few words you'd like to say about National Adoption Month.
Well, good morning. My name is Dr. Jason Lester. I have the privilege of serving at El Paso County Department of Human Services within the Children, Youth, and Family Services Division as the Deputy Director. I guess what I want to say is I want to mention a few names. Babe Ruth, Eleanor Roosevelt, Steve Jobs, Nelson Mandela, Marilyn Monroe. There is something that all these individuals have in common. They were all adopted by someone that saw the potential that they would bring to our world. I want to say thank you to the El Paso County adoptive families that have stood up for our kids and created permanency. I want to give a shout out to the adoption team here that works day in and day out to create permanency for the children. And I also want to thank you, the commissioners, for your unwavering support of El Paso County Department of Human Services and just your commitment to us creating safety, permanency, and well-being for all children within our jurisdiction. With me today is Amber Biss. She's the manager, and she has a few remarks that she would also like to share.
Thank you. Like Dr. Lester said, I'm Amber Biss. I'm a Children, Youth, and Family Services Manager at El Paso County, and I have the privilege of overseeing our 2 adoption programs. And so I just had a few comments I wanted to share. How adoptions work. DHS is only one way that families can adopt. Adoptions can be completed with private entities as well as internationally. With DHS adoptions, our DHS caseworkers work alongside of families until reunification is no longer possible. When termination of parental rights occur, our caseworkers work with the adoptive families, relative, kin, and foster parents to finalize the adoption process. This consists of an ongoing assessment of the child's needs and family circumstances. Adoption assistance options are negotiated and legal contracts are completed, making the relationship binding in a final adoption hearing. Our county partners with Raise the Future for pre and post adoption services with primary focuses on connecting children and youth, supporting families, and enhancing education through trauma-based training. Commissioner Bremer shared some of the numbers, but just to reiterate, we completed 90 adoptions in 2021 through El Paso County Department of Human Services, and as of September 30th of this year, we've completed 55. Adoption is something that many can relate to. 6 in 10 Americans have had personal experience with adoptions, meaning that they themselves, a family member, a close friend was adopted, they've adopted a child, or they've placed a child for adoptions. One of the pieces of the proclamation that stood out to me, and I believe it's been a piece of the proclamation throughout the time that I've been able to hear them when you guys honor this month, is El Paso County Department of Human Services, with its many private, community-based, and nonprofit partners, plays a vital role in maintaining and increasing citizen involvement in adoption so that waiting children can find stable and permanent placements. I just wanted to highlight that this is just not something that our county can solve. It takes villages to raise children. And so I'd additionally like to add that, adoptive children and families need support beyond the finalization of their adoption. Raise the Future and Medicaid service providers really do provide great support in those areas, but we need more providers to provide respite services, mental health, psychiatric care, and trauma-based treatment for families and children. Information for El Paso County adoption programming and children awaiting adoption can be found on the El Paso County homepage. And I had a couple quotes I wanted to share as I wrap up. The world may not change if you adopt a child, but for that child, the world will change. Adoption is complicated, but it is also rich in narratives of strength. Anyone who ever wondered how much they could love a child who did not spring from their own loins, know this, it's the same. The feeling of love is so profound, it's incredible and surprising. And I just want to thank you all once again for recognizing National Adoption Month in El Paso County and everything that you all do to support the children and families in our community.
Wow, thank you. That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the comments from both of you. And as is our tradition, Commissioner Bremer will conclude our comments on this, but let's see if any other commissioners at this point would like to make some comments. Commissioner Williams.
Well, I do always love National Adoption Month. My husband was adopted. He had the opportunity to meet his birth parents 5 or 6 years ago. And most interestingly enough, he grew up in Virginia, but he was born in California, and his birth mom and his mom now live in Las Vegas. And so it makes all of our trips to Las Vegas a very big family to visit all of them. And the other thing is I have 2 close friends that I am just amazed at. They did the foster care system and they moved into adoptions. One had raised all of her 5 kids and went back and adopted 2 more as little babies. And it's just been something wonderful to watch for them. So I'm always in support of adoption. And the sooner we get the children into families and loving parents, the better off these children will be. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Great comments. Commissioner Geithner.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this is just a great opportunity to celebrate all of these families that have made the choice to help kids get this permanency and to make sure that they feel loved and have a childhood that they deserve. But I also want to just take a moment and say thank you to the birth moms out there. And you know, there are lots of different ways that children are adopted, but one of those ways is by birth moms choosing life and giving the opportunity for parents who may not have otherwise had the ability to raise a child and giving them that gift as well. So lots of really wonderful and positive things that come out of adoptions for lots of people for different reasons. And I am proud to support this today. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I really appreciate the comments thus far. We should be taking care of our children, and the support that we get from the foster care program and the foster parents and the adopted, those who continue on and adopt, or those seeking to adopt from the beginning. This is what we should be doing, and we should be encouraging this, and we should be thanking those families that do this. I'm on the board of CASA, and in those cases, the intent is to try to reunify the families, but in many cases, it does end up into foster care and then adoption. And today, I had one of the early monthly meetings before this, and did get to hear one of the great and fabulous stories of adoption that did occur at the end of one of those CASA cases that went almost 5 years. And so this is the kind of thing that the community supports, and I greatly appreciate that we should be supporting our children, the preborn and then after, and supporting them. And this is the kind of thing that we see our community coming together to support our children. And so I just thank all the adopted parents that do this and wish the best for the families. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Great comments as well. And I'll make my comments at this point. So we do have relatives. I do have relatives in my family that have adopted as well. And I just know how important it is for the children. And that's the most important thing here. Being adopted is an opportunity to take an enormous amount of trauma out of a child's life, and trauma can produce a large amount of negative consequences as a result of that trauma. So adoptive parents, I just want to thank them. There's a lot of them around the country. I'm sorry to hear that we need more, but I would encourage people in Colorado Springs and El Paso County to consider adopting. It is a gift. It is special. And this, National Adoption Month is to increase awareness. And I think it's important that everybody think about this, or if you know somebody that might be willing to adopt, there are ways to find out how to do that. And I just, while you were talking, I looked it up on the El Paso County website. So you've got actually a great website here that has references to all of the private providers. In particular, I'll just make a comment here that there's a child placement agency in the area which El Paso County contracts with, and CPA, is one of those key places where you can go to and ask questions about potentially adopting children. It's on the website that will take you over to child placement agencies, and I think that's important to be aware of that. I can recall in some previous times when we've done this National Adoption Month, you've had some of the foster parents come down, and there's two kinds of foster parents: those that adopt permanently, and then those that just maybe take care of a child until a permanent placement can be found. And in one of those cases, and I can't remember the number, but it just truly amazed me, and I do refer to it from time to time, just a lady or family here that had done temporary placements in their home for over 60 children. 60 children. That is one dedicated family. But I tell you what, I'm really grateful that there are people out there willing to do that kind of thing. And it's a little bit of a risk. You're not entirely sure how that child will behave, but they need a stable environment so that they can flourish. And so this is so, so important. So those are my comments. And Commissioner Bremer, you can finish us off.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm so excited that here we are on November 1st, and we got to do this on the very first day of the month because honestly, the celebration and recognition of our families who step up and celebrate National Adoption Month by doing what their family can do. It's not enough time even to do it at the very first day of the month. We should be celebrating them every day. And certainly in your department, at our El Paso County Department of Human Services, you guys do a great job of seeing those families, working with those families 365 days a year. So I am incredibly grateful for that. And this is just a tiny little thing we can do to help raise awareness as well. I was blown away with the names that you listed of exceptional people who had somebody, as you so eloquently put it, someone who saw something in them and believed in them. And that's true for everybody. It's true for the Joe Smith and the Megan Lewis. It's true for everybody. They are a big name to somebody. And that is just an amazing thing to think about for me. I appreciate Amber mentioning the multiple ways to adopt, and my colleague, Commissioner Geithner as well. Our child placement agencies do a great job. We have lots of partner organizations that I'm fascinated to learn that each of them kind of has a little bit of a niche. They understand how to work with certain types of families, certain types of trauma, certain types of backgrounds, and do a really great job of ensuring stability for those families. And I know that our DHS staff that's up here plays a huge role in that as well as the calls come into you. I also appreciated the mention of trauma-informed counseling and services. And that's our focus is on the kids. But at the end of the day, all of you sitting here who work in this field and the first responders also take on so much of that trauma for the kids that you're helping and serving. So it's also our day to say thank you to you. And again, the families that they land in either temporarily or permanently, they also take on a lot of that trauma. And that's it's sad that anybody has to do that, but it's a beautiful thing when a child can be surrounded with people who will do that and take that burden off and do what they can to help and serve. And then I wanted to end by saying Commissioner Geithner actually brought up a really beautiful point as well, the different ways that adoption happens. And I'm proud of this county for really respecting all the ways that we can help a family grow and build and take care of our community. And with that, I am proud that we will be voting on this momentarily. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I imagine we would like to take a brief recess after this vote and take a picture. Okay, very good. So at this point, let's go ahead and proceed with that vote. Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner?
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Aye.
Commissioner Bremer?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 5-0. And let's take a brief recess for a photograph, and then we'll come right back up to the dais. Convene and start now with item number 6.
Item number 6 is comments by elected officials and commissioner liaison reports.
All right, Commissioner Williams.
Good morning. It is so exciting to be here today, just 1 week before the election. Just wanted to remind everybody that it is time to cast your ballots. We do have a voter service polling center right here in our building, and we just want everyone to participate in this election. I had several opportunities in the past week. We had the Chamber and EDC Gala, which was a wonderful opportunity to meet and visit with many friends. And also, they awarded one of the projects to Solid Rock Construction, which has built an affordable housing unit on their property in southeast Colorado Springs. And I think that was one of the properties that came before us as an urban renewal authority. So it was really exciting to see them win that award. And then Mayor Suthers and Janet Suthers won the Business Leaders of the Year, and that was very well deserved as well. So also last night I was able to go to Church for All Nations on the southeast side. They have a transformation program that takes individuals who want to change and become business entrepreneurs. It was about a 3-hour event. It was very, very inspirational. I enjoyed seeing these individuals and Pastor Johnson and the work that they were doing, the questions they were asking, their speaker. They were incredibly tough, and it was just wonderful to see individuals step up to the plate. At least 2 want to run for office, and others want to become their own business entrepreneurs. It's a busy schedule this week. Unfortunately, I've had a little problem with my phone, so I don't have it in front of me, but I know each and every day this week are full of meetings. And so just remember to vote and exercise your right under the Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Geithner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In addition to a full week of meetings, both scheduled and constituent meetings, I wanted to just take a moment this morning, and I think, thank you. I just wanted to take a few minutes and recognize a couple of really impactful and sad and tragic deaths in our community. The picture that is up on the screen includes me and my husband and Henry Allen. Henry Allen was the president of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference here locally. But more than that, Henry was an encourager, someone who was always involved and looking out for people of this community. And he is going to be greatly missed. I had the opportunity, I hadn't seen Henry in a while. I know that he had been ill, and had the opportunity to run into him by chance just about a week before he passed. And as usual, Henry had a huge smile. He was always one of the most respectful people. No matter if we always agreed or sometimes disagreed or had passionate discussions, Henry was someone who every time he saw you would give you a hug, smile at you, and, I have to laugh. It was always, hey, Commissioner, hey, Commissioner. And he always referred to me as Commissioner, even though I told him so many times, just to please call me Carrie. That's what he called me before I was a commissioner. But he was always so respectful and so loving, and I'm grateful that I had that opportunity to run into him by chance one more time. And I am absolutely certain that there are very few people who are as happy to meet Jesus as Henry Allen. And so, though he is going to be missed in this community, I know that he is going to continue with that big, beautiful smile, smiling down on all of us here. But I did not want this to go unnoted here, that his loss of presence will be felt greatly, and we will miss him. And unfortunately, thank you. Unfortunately, we had a second very tragic loss Sunday morning, we lost House Republican leader Hugh McKean. And he was such a huge help during the sessions that I have been here and gone up to the Capitol to testify. Many know my husband was the House Assistant Republican leader until recently, and that means that he worked very closely with Hugh McKean, and so I had many opportunities to sit in the offices at the Capitol and to talk to Hugh about lots of different things, policy, family. But the things that Hugh McKean always brought up were about family. What are you hearing down in El Paso? How are constituents? What things are you worried about? And he always cared about people. I think that this loss is tremendous, and I know that the governor has ordered that flags will be at half-mast on the day of his memorial. But I just wanted to take a moment and remember him here, and as well as Henry, that these are members of our community, that these are really huge losses for us, and it has been, I know, a tough day for many in our community who knew both of these gentlemen. So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Great comments. Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I too wanted to pass along my sympathies to the families and for the souls of those Representative McKean. I didn't get to know him that well, but I did meet him several times at events, and that is a huge loss for the state. I was friends with Henry Allen, and so that did hit hard when we found out the other day about his passing. He was a local leader and community voice. He's somebody who cared and loved for this community, and he's going to be greatly missed. He was somebody who fought and advocated for our entire community, and so I just wish the best for their souls and their families during this time of mourning. He's going to be greatly missed by our community and me personally. As to the other activities, I'll save my comments about Veterans Day next week, because it is actually next week, but there are actually a lot of events popping up this weekend. So there's a groundbreaking at Fort Carson I'm going to try to get to on Thursday morning. I will do my monthly State Board of Veteran Affairs, participate up in Denver metro area on Friday. For that monthly board meeting. Hoedown for Heroes, it's a great annual event sponsored by Mount Carmel, a lot of other sponsors there. Will be Friday night. They do great things for our veterans and the veteran community here. And so I will be attending that. And then I will get to the Veterans Day Parade, which is this Saturday morning, downtown Colorado Springs. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Bremer.
Yes, thank you. You know, my colleagues have spoken well of this once again, and I appreciate the emotion and raw passion and care that others have given, and I knew I needed to script out my comments in order to talk, so please bear with me, but I'm also going to bring up what my colleagues have. I'd like to extend my condolences to the family and friends of House Minority Leader Hugh McKean, who passed away on Sunday morning. Hugh was a friend of mine and my husband's, and like many others, we will miss him greatly. While Hugh was active in Republican politics, what I found remarkable was how many people across the spectrum have expressed their admiration for our late friend. Hugh had the ability to disagree without being disagreeable. While he maintained policy disagreements that he felt strongly about, he also maintained personal friendships. Our country was founded on the concept that we could work out our disagreements in the political system without resorting to violence and without devolving into a dictatorship of either kind. Civility and decency in the face of disagreements is paramount to achieving that end. In that way, Hugh McKean and Henry Allen were statesmen who embodied the best of our political system. May he rest in peace, and may all of us follow his lead as a citizen and as a statesman.
Thank you, Commissioner. Great comments by all my commissioners. And now my comments. my comments for this right now. So the first one is please, please vote. This is a constitutional right that we all have. Not everybody has this around the world. It is something that we all need to exercise. And I ask that you do vote. Many of us do here in El Paso County, but there's always more that are registered to vote that don't. So I hope that every citizen will exercise that right. I also would like to make some comments about Mr. Allen and Mr. McCain. First of all, my thanks to all of the commissioners that brought this forward and also commented on it. For Mr. McCain, Hugh McCain, I did not know him that well, but I know that some of the members on this board did know him pretty well. But he was always a positive influence and really cared about people. And that was evident in just about everything that he did. But for Henry Allen, he was also a friend of mine. And gosh, what a great personality. As many of my commissioners have mentioned, always a huge smile, always interacting with both elected officials, but also interacting with communities, was not afraid to bring things up that he felt needed to be addressed, and he used his friendships to try to solve community problems. And I can tell you for Henry Allen, who ran the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the SCLC here in El Paso County, I find it interesting. It was the only chapter in the state of Colorado that belongs to an organization that was actually founded by Martin Luther King. And never did I ever think that I would find myself as a member of SCLC speaking one morning at an SCLC prayer breakfast, and that was special. But the other one that was particularly interesting to me, they had a particular day where people teamed up and walked up and down streets and prayed out loud for the residents that were there, and I participated in that. Henry was this kind of person that could get people to do things that they might not otherwise do. And he was just so much of a connector to all kinds of different people in the community. And for these two gentlemen, both tragic losses, Mr. Henry Allen and Mr. Hugh McCain, they were both diplomats, statesmen, and they were interested in civil discourse. Opportunities for us to have conversations with each other, especially when we disagreed. Both of them worked very hard at that. Both of them did a great job doing that. And I am grateful to have gotten to know both of them. And those are my comments about Mr. Allen and Mr. McCain. As far as the remainder of my comments, I'll be participating Wednesday morning in the Pikes Peak Regional Office of Emergency Management exercise. I think Commissioner Gonzalez, I forget who it was that made the comment, but it was a great chamber gala over the weekend. And then this coming weekend on Saturday, I'll be participating along with my wife in the Ataman Centennial Dinner, celebrating 100 years of hiking Pikes Peak on New Year's Eve and launching fireworks for the residents to see a celebration of the coming of the new year. Also, Monday next week on 7 November, I'll be participating along with my colleagues with the Colorado Springs Utilities work session. That's Monday afternoon. And I appreciate Commissioner Gonzalez's comments about the Hoedown for Heroes. That will be this Friday evening. I'll be going to that as well. And that's an opportunity to celebrate our veterans in the community, which is always important that we do that because we appreciate their sacrifice and service. And those are my comments this morning. Let us go now to item number 7. Oh, stand by just a second. Are there any other elected officials in the audience? Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Let's go on now to item number 7.
Item number 7 is community service organization reports, and there are none.
All right, very good. Item number 8.
Item number 8 is public comment on items not scheduled on today's agenda. This is the public's opportunity to comment on items not scheduled on the agenda today. And Mr. Chair, I did have 3 people sign in ahead of time, so with your permission, I will read those names into the record, and then we can call for additional public comment.
Okay, very good. So for those 3 that did sign in, we'll ask that you go first.
I have listed Desra Conrad, Denise Kamilic, and Daniel Smith.
Yes, please come forward.
Good morning. So I just wanted to read into the record the Colorado Revised Statutes 2021, Title I, Elections, Statute 1-10.5-102, recounts for congressional, state, and district offices, state ballot questions, and state ballot issues. I'm going to actually skip to number 3, 3A. Prior to any recount, the canvass board shall choose at random and test voting devices used in the candidate race, ballot issue, or ballot question that is the subject of the recount. The board shall use the voting devices it has selected to conduct a comparison of the machine count of the ballots counted on each such voting device for the candidate race, ballot issue, or ballot question to the corresponding manual count of the voter-verified paper records. B says, if the results of the comparison of the machine count and the manual count in accordance with the requirements of subsection 3A of this section are identical, or if any discrepancy is able to be accounted for by voter error, then the recount may be conducted in the same manner as the original ballot count. If the results of the comparison of the machine count and the manual count in accordance with the requirements of subsection 3A of this section are not identical, or if any discrepancy is not able to be accounted for by voter error, a presumption is created that the voter-verified paper records will be used for a final determination unless evidence exists that the integrity of the voter-verified paper records has been irrevocably compromised. And that's all I wanted to say today, other than I've been praying for you all, that God bless you, that Jesus bless you to know him more. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. And who was the second person that signed up? Oh, and she's coming up. Thank you.
For you of that particular statute, but I did make 1 copy of 2 other statutes that you can look at. My name is Denise Kamilic. I have been a taxpayer in this county for over 20 years. I know all of you know me. I asked Desra to read that statute for 2 reasons. One is to get it into the record, but quite frankly, my main reason is for all of you to understand and consider that that statute has not been followed. Now, that statute can be utilized for more than one purpose. It was written for the recount, which you all know was done in this county and paid for extortion-wise over $21,000, of which $15,000 was refunded after the recount was done erroneously. Now, I know it was done erroneously, and so do you. I believe you do. The hand count of the paper ballots never occurred. I believe you know that. All Chuck Broerman did was run the ballots once again through all 7 machines. This statute clearly states, and this statute is a law. He broke Colorado law. And so you continue to stand by Chuck Broerman and do nothing. I will remind you that on April 5th, he lied, boldface lied to this commission and indicated that he had no time to take the ballots out to vote for printing purposes because they would be in violation of state and federal law. And that was a bold-faced lie because he himself had the clerk and county recorder's office print the out-of-state and out of area military ballots, 7,000 or so of them in the office. And I suggested at that meeting that they be printed separately, and he had time to take that contract out to vote and out to bid. And he did not fulfill his obligations. So I'm going to read you, because this county commissioners have said, we have no power to enforce elections. Really? How about Colorado Revised Statute, Title I, Elections, Section 1-1-111, Powers and Duties of Governing Boards. 1, in addition to the other duties prescribed by law, the governing board of a political subdivision entitled to call elections shall have the following duties. A, to supervise the conduct of regular and special elections, which it is authorized to and required to call, and B, where appropriate, to consult and coordinate with the county clerk and recorder of the county in which the political subdivision is located and the Secretary of State in regards to conducting elections and rendering decisions and interpretations under this code. You may say, hey, we are not liable. Do you know what the definition is of the governing body? Governing body,
ma'am, if I could just ask you
in
to
section 18,
close up your comments,
I will,
please.
means a board of county commissioners, a city council, or a board of trustees, board of directors, or any other entity which is responsible for calling and conducting the election. You'd have to be living under a rock to not know that this nation is filled with this absolute disagreement with regards to the machines. Prove to us, use this statute to actually recount, make Chuck Browerman follow the law.
Ma'am,
he broke
please close up your
and
comments.
make him recount manually by selecting random machines and make him prove that the machines are valid. The people of the county do not trust the machines.
Your 3 minutes are up, ma'am. All right, let's stop. All right, please, everybody. Who's the third person that signed up?
That's me. I'm Daniel Smith. First of all, I'd like to tell the commissioners that today is, in a liturgical calendar, is All Saints' Day. And I pray that those people you are honoring in your words are sitting before the throne of God as his saints today. I'd just like to tell a quick story. If you were the owner of a private bank, and you had a group of your patrons, your customers, come forward and say, hey, you know, something's wrong here. We really think we need to investigate this. What would you do? Would you bend over backwards to prove that what you're doing, all your processes, all your policies are correct and right? Or would you just say, well, you don't really need to know, or I just really don't want to do that? In order to protect yourself and your business and to honor your customers, you would go forward and do everything you could to prove that everything was correct. That's what the people of El Paso County are asking the clerk and recorder to do. And I think throughout this whole state, it has been an issue that people don't want to prove that things were done right. They put roadblocks in front of the customers like myself in trying to find out, hey, prove to me that things are right. But instead, we've had people like the clerk and recorder just take us down all these other paths that don't help us to have that confidence that things were right. We need to do that in the county. We need to do that in the state. We need to do that in the nation. And to me, anybody in a position of authority who's not willing to make all the effort without making it hard for people to find out the truth. They are negligent in their duties. That's it. If you are the banker, what would you do? You are the banker because you're the county commissioners. So take charge and prove to the people, like we have back here clapping, that things were correct. It's your duty. Thank you.
All right, everybody, please. Okay, look, I'm interested in a measure of decorum in the room here. Okay, people can testify. I just ask that you refrain from clapping. All right. And I just want to say to those that have testified so far, there may be others that will want to make comments as well. I believe that El Paso County has complied with all state statutes. If you feel there's been any fraud in El Paso County, there is a full-time fraud investigator in the district attorney's office. Please bring that evidence over there, please. All right? I can tell you that this board is also concerned about fraud. Yes, I know you're going to disagree, but I'm telling you we are. And if you have any evidence of fraud, no, please. All right. If you have any evidence of fraud, bring it to that investigator so that a proper investigation can be done. All right? Is there anybody else wishing to testify this morning?
My name is Diane Maples, and this is my third time coming down here, taking time off of work because you guys aren't doing your job with respect to certain issues. And it's very disturbing to me that I have to take time from my job because you're not doing yours. You guys are not listening. Stan, there is fraud. There is hard. We did not do a hand recount in this county. Hello? That's part of the statute. He broke the statute. So I'm going to tell you a couple of things. Ken DeGraff sent out a email to his constituents, and he ended it by saying, gold is not afraid of the crucible. Well, if we're the gold standard of voting and the gold standard of elections, why are we afraid of the crucible? Why are we afraid of redoing that and doing what the statute says? That makes no sense to me whatsoever. And the fact that you could stand here, sit here, and say, oh, there's no fraud, send it to the fraud department. You guys are the front line. We're here telling you. So I'm just telling you, the other thing in Revelation 21:8, it says, but for the cowardly and faithless and detestable and murderers and sexually immoral and sorcerers and idolaters and all liars, their lot is in the lake that burns with fire, brimstone, which is the second death. God points out cowardly in his scripture. And I believe you're being cowardly. You're not addressing this issue. So I thank you for your time. I ask you to reconsider. I ask you to think about all these people. And there are hundreds of them that are not here today because they all work and they couldn't take time off from work. I have a flexible boss who understands, thank God, but please take some time to really look at what you're doing. It's inconceivable to me. And there's a couple of you sitting here that you don't even know if your names really should be on the ballot, do ya? You don't.
Ma'am,
so I'm just telling you. Don't you want to know that you really got in? That's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right. I'm telling you, please stop.
Mr. Chairman, I would ask a question.
Commissioner Williams?
I would be interested in hearing from the future speakers whether or not they have taken access to our ballot audit tool and gone in and counted their own precinct That's been something I've been meaning to do this summer myself, or even all of the primary election is now on our website. And I see many people coming in. My issue is we run this county on $306 per citizen. It's very little money. We've already spent $120,000 this year to put all of this information up there. I know when we get a large crowd here, and I count, there was close to 40 here. There were close to 25 last time. I know that you can get together and do your own hand count of even one precinct. Choose the smallest precinct, but not precinct 000, because those are anonymous and they are the smallest precinct. But choose a precinct in your neighborhood and take the time to hand count those ballots and see what your verification comes up with. That would be really helpful for me to know.
Holly, are you talking about? No, man, sir,
Yes, sir.
please.
Asking a question.
We are not
And
in, ma'am.
I'm responding to her question.
I am not asking you to respond to her question. You had your opportunity to speak before. This gentleman to my right over here was down here before all of you. He gets to speak next. And sir, you brought some papers over here. If you could, they need to go, yes, that's fine, but they need to go over to the clerk over here. So if you could bring them over to the clerk. And sir, if you could come on down and sign in and state your name.
My name is David Winnie. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. My position is the toplinevote.com candidates all won the June 28th primary until, with facts, by hand count of primary ballots in all 64 counties, as required by law, it's been proven otherwise. Now, none of us really originally wanted to run for office, but we did because we felt called to step up and do that. However, we aren't primarily concerned about being in office. We're primarily concerned about what is the truth. That's it. In Ezra 7 and 8, it talks about positions of public trust. At the end of chapter 8, it talks about what are the responsibilities is to count and account for and to guard. And it goes on and on about a few different responsibilities of the treasures that were donated by the king to go back to Jerusalem and back to the temple of God. Now, think about that as very parallel to our taxes, which are being donated by us, and our votes, which are being done by us. So, Proverbs 20:10 reads, differing weights and differing measures, the Lord detests them both. We're dealing with that, and yes, there's proof nationwide that's being denied constantly by a very crooked media, and we all know this. Come on, let's stop playing games here. The Runbeck vote on April 5th, you read scripture to us and voted against us for all the clear conflicts of interest that were present that day. Clear. And so you voted against us 3-0. We have continuously called many times to eliminate all the mule ballot trafficking drop boxes and all the Dominion voting manipulation systems and return to one-day vote to hand count all ballots at the precinct with your ID. That solves all the problems with the chain of custody. It's completely solved with that. With all of our current processes, chain of custody is completely broken and never established. We're dying by death by 1,000 cuts. You are our elected officials, and I've said this before to you standing here. Solving these voting and election problems is your fiduciary responsibility. You should be so dedicated to this task that you do nothing but study it and stop all these beautiful proclamations every week until you get to the bottom of this issue and solve it. Not only get to the bottom of it, but solve it. Election fraud and voter fraud are two different issues. You know, there's one guy that admitted to voting 29 times in the 2020 election.
You don't have
And
to
I'm
stop.
almost
Just,
done.
just wrap up your comments.
I'll conclude shortly.
Yeah.
I love it that Chuck Borman has 45 minutes to an hour to spew all kinds of lies and even admit to crimes, but we get 3 minutes each. But anyway, I'll conclude. When you said, please, please, please vote, we're saying, please, please, please make it so our vote counts.
All right.
Only lawful voters, one vote each, not divided and not multiplied. We are called election deniers, and that we support the big lie, supposedly created by President Trump. No, we are election truth advocates. The Time Magazine huge article.
Okay, Mr. Winnie, please close up your comments now, please.
Admitted to all the crimes they committed to steal that election. Big Time Magazine article. Go read it. Now, last statement. Now, many new terms have been created by criminals to support their big lie and to thwart those of us who simply are asking for the truth. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, while the next gentleman prepares to speak, we do have some folks online. If we could take one of those folks right now, and then we'll have someone in the room speak next. Who would be the first person? Donna Robertson, thank you. Sorry? I'm sorry, okay. Hello, ma'am, are you there?
Oh, yes. Hello? Am I up?
Yes, you are. Please go ahead, and you have 3 minutes. The clock will start here as soon as you start speaking.
Okay, thank you. My name is LaDonna Robertson. You all know me. I am currently not feeling the greatest, and so I'm calling in instead of getting everybody sick. First and foremost, I want to know if Holly Williams, what she said about as far as counting the precinct, is that actually doing a hand count of the paper ballots, not any kind of pictures of ballots or anything from a machine, but an actual paper ballot? Because if it is, we will be there at the clerk and recorder's office in 2 seconds to go ahead and do that. I already know everybody in that room would be doing that if that's the case. So I would like to ask her to verify that. The second thing is that you have all been given numerous times the statutes and all of the paperwork and forms and everything. There's even lawsuits about this, as far as that you guys have the right to go ahead and say, hey, this needs to be done the correct manner, like the statute states. I don't know why you guys are afraid of doing that. Is it going to take you losing one of your positions? Because I'll tell you right now, after talking to the people, going out and doing all the canvassing, just because you have an R behind your name doesn't mean jack crap, because there's a good possibility that somebody with a D is going to be in your position and not with an R. Another thing is that if you do get your positions or happen to be saved, do you think that you're not going to be a possibility of being recalled? Because we as a group of people, of patriots who are trying to fight for our city, our county, our country, have no problem going ahead and doing a recall, as you probably already know. So back to real quick to the answer of my question. Holly, can we go ahead and do a recount with the actual ballot papers?
The answer is the actual ballots you receive when you get the ballots just by bringing in a 2 terabyte drive. They are the actual ballots that have been scanned in. By law, we are not allowed to give out the paper ballots, but they are the actual ballots that have been scanned in. And you must, we did have to redact signatures on several. Is that correct, Mr. Attorney?
Commissioner, well, I believe that's accurate. I would discourage getting into too much detail today. We do have pending litigation on this matter.
Thank you.
Okay, that's my question, because that's not That's not the actual ballots. And you guys are the ones who have the authority to do that. All of you have that authority. Please act on it. Thank you.
Thank you. And what we'll do at this point is we'll let this gentleman come on up, and I think you've passed your paperwork over to the clerk so that it can get passed out. And then after you, we'll take the second person online. So please, sir, come on up. And I believe, did you sign in already?
I signed in, but it was apparently after she had taken the list.
Okay, yeah, it doesn't matter what the order is. As long as you've signed in, please state your name, and your 3 minutes will get started.
All right, my name is Ken DeGraff. I'm here to address the election system. It seems right now that is compromised. It cannot not be compromised. And there are elected officials who either oppose it or benefit from it. Those are the categories. Only light can drive out darkness, so I'd like you to shine a light on this compromised election system. Per Chuck Broerman, according to the question, did the clerk's office follow the law according to the logic and accuracy test under CRS related to a recount? Yes. The El Paso County Clerk and Recorder's Office follows Secretary of State Rule 10-12-2, which provides guidance as to how our office is to comply with CRS 1-10- whatever. The clerk is required to follow these rules under CRS. Rule 10-12-2, if a county rescans the ballots during the count, the county clerk must test all ballot scanners that will be used. The rest of it is irrelevant. This is concluded by, as to my inquiring with our attorneys on this today, they state that the clerk is in compliance with the CRS, which is false, and the rule, it is questionable. Quoting Dr. Thomas Sowell, it is hard to imagine a more stupid or more dangerous way of making decisions than putting those decisions in the hands of the people who pay no price for being wrong. This is a decision that you are making, not unaccountable legal counsel. To be complacent in this is to be complicit. For brevity, I'm going to go through those citations, shortening them up. First, the Colorado Revised Statutes, CRS, are codified general and permanent statutes of the Colorado General Assembly. They supersede rules. In giving deference to the Secretary of State's rules, Mr. Broerman cites the CRS 1-1-110. The county clerk and recorder shall follow the rules and orders promulgated by the Secretary of State pursuant to this code. Pursuant means in accordance with, so that means the clerk must follow Secretary of State rules and orders that are in accordance with the CRS. But it is not required to follow a rule if it is not in accordance with the CRS, nor should the county commissioners make excuses for the clerk not following the laws and thereby betray the trust placed in them by the citizens of El Paso County in order to protect their friends and husbands' side hustle. CRS section 1-5-802, the voter verified paper record of each eligible elector's vote shall constitute an official record of the election. There is no mention of a scanned image. A computer generated image is not a record of anything. If the results...
all right, please stop.
If the results of the...
Now you're interrupting the speaker who has 3 minutes, okay?
If the results of the comparison of the machine count and the manual count of the voter verified ballots are not identical, the voter verified paper ballot records will be used as the final determination. We do not know the official record in the election because the El Paso County Clerk, in collusion with the county commissioners, will not allow a count of the voter verified paper record in accordance with the law. No voting device shall be remotely accessible. There is no time frame, thus no voting device shall ever be accessible. These machines have Wi-Fi capability in their build list and utilize multiple thumb drives with a DoD banned over a decade ago because they were all compromised with embedded malware. Ignoring the CRS, you defer to rule but not the law. Rule 10-12, if the county rescans the ballots during the recount, then the county clerk must test the scanners. If is not directive, if means optional. This also means that if the county does not
Mr. DeGraff,
rescan,
if you could...
I will wrap it up.
Yeah, wrap up, please. Thank you.
During the recount, then the county clerk is not required to test all the scanners. Thus, in case the recent recount as paid for by the candidate, Clerk Broerman was either incorrect or intentionally misleading about the necessity and limitation of conducting only a rescan of the ballots, and the county commissioners authorized the waste of taxpayer money by allowing this fiasco to go on for months of
Mr.
legal
DeGraff,
challenges.
please.
I will. This seems kind of important.
Your time is up.
Okay. Can I use some of his time?
Well, it would be preferred if we did that in advance, but okay, if you're willing to sit down and not testify, you can continue.
Well, I just had a few quotes there in there. I would like you to summon the intestinal fortitude to call for a recount. an
Okay.
actual paper ballot recount and stop hiding behind rules and breaking the law.
All right, thank you. All right, I believe, ma'am, I think you're next. Oh, did we have one more person online? Yeah, I'm sorry. We have someone online. Let's go ahead and proceed with that person.
Hi. Hello?
Good morning. Can you hear us?
Hi, yeah, thank you. I just still see Ken DeGraff talking. Is the film back?
No, he's done, so please proceed.
Okay, this is Jeannie Rush, Gammy Sparkles. And I would like to read just a small part of my letter, and then I have something important to tell everyone there. Sure you've seen today's news. Now it's even on mainstream media, and that makes our elections even more vulnerable. They're saying things like there's a red wave, Iran, Russia, China are in fact meddling. Because we've known there's been foreign and domestic, interference in our elections for almost 2 years now, and really longer. But either way, the machines were, and will always be penetratable on all levels. And you won't even be able to see it. Also, I realize we differ on this opinion and have. It's not okay, though, for you to be wrong. Stop all the machines or we have no chance to ever have another fair election. Now, I'm going one more step. I'm afraid that the end game here is to actually have the real people in charge say there's no, controlling it and stop the election altogether, which has also been said. But just whatever's happening, all these people are legit. And I called Mr. David Guest, the investigator that Michael Allen put on the election fraud. He gave me a lot of time, and there are people preparing data for the locals. He said the most important thing everyone needs to understand, including the 4 groups that submitted affidavits to him with testimony saying it has to involve El Paso County election fraud, not SOS, not state, not federal. It has to really come down to El Paso County. And then you can go to this Mr. David Guest, give him all these ordinances and things everybody had, then they will, under Michael Allen and his assistants, have to look into it, because he's only an investigator, not an attorney. He is the first step that takes it to Michael Allen. And I went and I've got people preparing stuff to take the proper way too, because we already have lawyers and others that took it. So I want to quote, like you did, Martin Luther King. If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. I love this country, and we have a lot of work to do because bad people have taken us over. So God bless everybody. We're coming for the good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And by the way, I appreciate your timing that to exactly 3 minutes. Okay, ma'am, please come on down. And if you haven't signed in already, please do so and then state your name.
Thank you. My name is Tanya Regan. I am El Paso County citizen. I was not here for the April 5th meeting, but my neighbor and co-precinct leader, Bob Miller, testified. He also submitted an affidavit to the DA about what he witnessed with our Dominion machines. He saw, and he is an IT person, he saw Dominion come in and do an update. There were files that were pointing to the wrong signature, and Dominion came in and they fixed the problem during the 2020 election. This is, by the way, the same kind of problem that Tina Peter encountered, where she found 29,000 records deleted after Dominion came in and did a trusted build. In the dystopian world that we live in today, it's been exactly 956 days since March 2020, when we all woke up to a new world, a world like 1984, where Winston Smith went to work every day and rewrote the world according to the government edicts. Winston Smith stood up, and eventually he was reprogrammed. This week alone, in this kind of world where we're constantly told that the truth is lies and lies is truth, and people are arrested, prosecuted, stripped of their licenses, and jailed for standing up, for standing in the gap. Justice has been weaponized by our government, by the police state that resides in many offices in our world and in the White House. This week alone, CEO True the Vote, Catherine Engelbrecht, and her business partner Greg Phillips were arrested for not revealing a protected confidential source. Dr. Peter McCullough, who has been an ardent voice of medical truth, will have his medical licenses stripped by boards. All the doctors that participated in the January 2020, or this year, Senator Johnson's roundtable, a second opinion, all told of having their medical licenses threatened by boards because they stood up against the COVID narrative. So what narrative are we really supposed to believe? Are we supposed to believe trust the science, Dr. Fauci, a doctor who never treated a COVID patient, and yet millions in the world have died under his weaponized bioweapons, have died under his medical protocol treatments, and have died suddenly of heart attacks, of all kinds of other things, because Fauci dictated what would and wouldn't be. Parents who have woken up and attended school boards are now labeled as domestic terrorists. The same FBI that labels us domestic terrorists bashed in Sharona Bishop's front door, a mom that was homeschooling. Then they drug her daughter by her hoodie upstairs. This is the same FBI that wrongfully went and raided our president's Mar-a-Lago residence. You know, again, I want to point out that Bob Miller, he met with us, he testified, he submitted an affidavit, and at stand, absolutely nothing has been done with it. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. All right. Do we just check? Do we have anybody online at this point? Okay, nobody else online. Thank you very much. And sir, it's my understanding you gave up your time for Mr. DeGraff. Oh, okay. All right. I'm being corrected. Please come forward and sign in and state your name. Please come on down. And then what we'll do is we'll just go back and forth between the two stairs. So, ma'am, you'll be next.
My name's Steve Spencer. I think we're all emotional beings. It's allowed to clap. We clap for the National Adoption Month, but we can't clap for somebody we appreciate them saying. Stan? I think we're all here because we don't trust the Dominion machines. We want freedom from the machines. I was a mailman for 36 years. I passed out 3 ballots for one person. Oh, there's no fraud. There's no fraud in this. Come on. It's set up for fraud. 2,000 mules. If you've never seen it, you probably should look at it. But we have a country that was founded on religious freedom because we were upset with England and we split. There are people in this world that are afraid that we're losing our country. We want our country back. We want to trust the election system. We don't. It's your job, since we have the system in place, to verify that the count was accurate. That's all we're asking. Just do your job. We really want our country, and we don't like the direction it's going. Most people don't trust the voting system. Why should I vote? I hear this all the time. It's not going to count. Let's get back to one-day in-person voting. It's going to save a lot of money. Get rid of all the drop boxes everywhere all over the city. That's all I have to say. Please just do what's right. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. All right, ma'am. And as always, if you haven't signed in, please do so, then state your name.
Hello, my name's Annette Yeba. I just wanted to go ahead and put some information out there in case people haven't seen it. If anyone watches Jovan Hutton Pulitzer, he has a radio show podcast called Cut the Crap, which stands for Culture, Race, and American Politics. What I'm going to be talking about today can be found at jovanhuttonpulitzer.locals.com. In case you haven't heard, the Supreme Court of Georgia had a ruling, I believe it was October 25, 22. One of the cases was S22G0039, which was the Sons of Confederate Veterans versus the Henry County Board of Commissioners, and another one was S22G0045, Sons of the Confederate Veterans versus the Newton County Board of Commissioners. And I'm just going to go ahead and read a small sampling. Again, you can look at the Locals account. It doesn't cost anything to view what was posted there. Of course, it's not going to. Okay. The courts are not vehicles for engaging merely in academic debates or deciding purely theoretical questions. We say what the law is, only as it is needed to resolve an actual controversy. To that end, only plaintiffs with cognizable injury can bring a suit in the Georgia courts. Unlike federal law, however, that injury need not always be individualized. Sometimes it can be a generalized grievance shared by the community members, especially other residents, taxpayers, voters, or citizens. For the lesser requirement that the plaintiff has suffered some kind of an injury, albeit one that has been shared by all other members of the community, Georgia has long recognized that the members of the community, whether as a citizen, resident, taxpayer, or voter, may be injured when their local government fails to follow the law. Government at all levels has a legal duty to follow the law. A local government owns that duty to its citizens, residents, taxpayers, or voters, community stakeholders. And the violation of that legal duty constitutes an injury in that case law that has recognized as conferring standing to those community stakeholders if the plaintiff suffers no individual injury. Granted, this is Georgia, but it will set precedents, and I hope that it will actually affect law here in Colorado, because there's fraud going on in this state, whether people want to believe it or not. We are not the gold standard. We have standing.
Thank you for your comments. Please, ma'am. And if there is anybody else that would like to provide comments this morning, perhaps just get yourself ready in either one of the two lines.
My name is Valerie McLean. And I'd just like to take a minute to remind you all that you're in your positions to represent us. Your constituents have no confidence in our election system. We have none. This is reality. There's a very simple way to prove that our elections are indeed secure and the gold standard, once and for all. Do a hand count alongside of the voting machine in this upcoming election. I know you're going to say, how are we going to do that? It's going to take too much. Everybody in this room will volunteer to help count those ballots. Okay? If you're truly as confident as you claim, there's no good reason for you not to do it. So I ask you, will you please do it? Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Ma'am? I'm sorry, we're going back and forth. Yes. No, please go ahead. And while you're signing in, just another check. Anybody online? Okay, thank you.
My name is Donna LaBelle, and I'm here to say that we, the people of Colorado Springs, in order to reform the far from perfect voting system that has been chosen for us, do demand justice. We assure domestic oppressors who have illegally usurped authority beyond their jurisdiction to provide for their common enrichment and do promote false election outcomes in order to secure positions of power, thereby making null and void the blessings of liberty to choose who will serve us with integrity, honesty, and morality by their actions to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this prayer to Almighty God in the Supreme Court of Heaven, since our appeals here have not been responded to. We resort to the highest power. Abba, Father, blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe. You say to have no fellowship with unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them. You know what is in darkness, and light dwells with you. Nothing is hidden that will not be exposed. Every plant that you have not planted will be uprooted. You have said, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven. I will forgive their sins and heal their land. We have cried out and prayed for years and stand on the rock of your promises. We stand like the Israelites on the shores of the Red Sea, with nowhere to turn but to you. It is time for you to act, O Lord, for they have regarded your law as void. Part the waters of deception and iniquity. Be glorified in the heavens and in Colorado Springs. You will not be mocked. What a man sows, that he will also reap. For you, Lord, are a God of justice. You say, I, the Lord, love justice. I hate robbery and wrongdoing. In my faithfulness, I will reward my people and make an everlasting covenant with them. Because of you, we have great hope and expectation. We are filled to overflowing with joy and peace because we trust in you. We pray with you because you do not want any to perish, and hope that all will come to repentance. And this is our prayer too, Lord. We declare that Jesus Christ is Lord of Colorado Springs, and we pray this in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, Sar Shalom, Jesus Christ, the Prince of Peace. So I thank you for giving me this time, and I just pray that you will think and act and do what is right. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. All right.
Hi, my name is Cheryl Chapman. It's my first time here. And I just have a few questions for you. Well, the first one is, why does civilization even have a law? Why did they create laws? Well, probably because past history tells us that most people believe it would be better if some situations were regulated. So laws are written and passed with the intention they're followed by all, including those who wrote and passed the law. Why take all your time and energy and we the people's money to write and pass laws if you don't even endorse them or abide by them yourselves? All I ask is that you abide by the laws you yourselves have written and passed. You heard the Colorado state statute today that requires a random selection of voting machines and the corresponding voter-verified ballots that were run through them, the actual ballots. They need to be also hand-counted and compared to each other. So if that's true, why can't that be enforced by you? This law was broken by non-enforcement. You, as our county commissioners and our largest legislative body, are obligated to enforce it. If there's nothing to hide and the computers are so accurate, then why fight a recount like this? It makes us think you're trying to hide something. Again, all I ask is that you abide by the laws you yourselves have written and passed. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Steve Spinogle, a concerned citizen of El Paso County, and I've just been sitting back there watching this process. I've been here once before. That time I came up with a spirit of anger. I just got a total spirit of peace. I've been praying about this. I prayed specifically, Stan, that you would allow us to clap, and God answered my prayer because you're not telling us not to clap anymore. Thank you for that. Thank you, the whole council here, the whole board, for listening to these concerned citizens. I am a concerned citizen. There's a lot of issues, of course, you guys are concerned with as well. The border, supply chain problems, everything that's been talked about. But the number one issue for all of us here is election integrity. And all you guys have to do is support a hand recount, which is already paid for, not the scan images, just a hand recount to prove, Carrie, that you won. I'd like to see that that's true, but I'd like to see the hand recount. I think that's all this group of patriots is saying. Just do the job on the statutes that have been quoted here by people a lot smarter than me. Just do the job and support a hand recount and give us confidence. I mean, if it's true, we want to be behind everybody. It's not going to be that we don't vote. We have to vote. This is the most important election in the world, right? It's the most important election we've ever gone through. We have to vote on Tuesday. But this is not going to stop. We'll be back next week, the week after that. This thing is not going to stop. We have to follow the lead of other commissioners around this country that go off and support hand recounts. There's many of them. We're the most conservative county in this state. We're the only one that can save this state, in my personal opinion. And you guys, you're the head of the spear. Just talk about it, pray about it, support a hand recount. Last thing I'm going to say is I worked for Boeing for 36 and a half years. I retired. I know a little bit about cybersecurity. I worked at Schriever Air Force Base, highly classified programs. These machines connected to the internet, come on. You know in your heart we can't let that happen. But the first step is just do a hand recount and prove once and for all whether that's true or not. I'd love to yield the last of my time to some of these other patriots, but that's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Ma'am?
Good morning. My name is Karma Boyam, and I just wanted to come up here to show my support for the people back here that want to do away with the Dominion machines. So since there's such controversy over it, what's the harm in doing away with them and seeing if there is a difference? That's all I have to say.
Thank you for your comments. Appreciate it. And ma'am?
Good morning. Kind of short here, so. Well, this is the second time I've been before the council, and I was 72 then. Now I'm 73. I just want to remind you that life passes by so quickly. It just seems like, you're young, and then before you know it, you're in your golden years, so-called golden years. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit, and I was happy to hear that several of you mentioned the Constitution. And it's been a long time since I was in school. So I've been taking a Constitution course at one of the churches here, and there's a lot of them going on, and I think that's great. I was surprised to learn that so many of our citizens don't even know what the Constitution And I was even more surprised to learn that people in Congress that are elected officials do not know what the Constitution says. I mean, that was just shocking to me. And anyway, well, one thing that our last class we went over was about, you know, our founding fathers and how, you know, they thought it was so important, you know, to take an oath, and everyone that's, and I don't know if you all have had to do it, but to take an oath to the Constitution, to follow the Constitution. And, you know, it's to me, I mean, it was something because even our founding fathers knew that they could not trust man, you know, and so it wasn't just like a promise to another man or, you know, to a fellow citizen, but taking an oath, I learned, is very, very serious. It's taking an oath to Almighty God. And so, you know, that's a very serious thing. And so I just wanted to remind you all that, you know, your words and the oath that you take for holding office is that, you know, you will follow the Constitution, you will follow the law. So that's all I'm asking today is, you know, I think day by day, it's coming more and more clear that, you know, our elections are very flawed. You know, like some of the others have mentioned, you know, we're told to believe lies, and that's just not right, you know. So I'm also a believer, and I'm just trusting that you all will do the right thing and follow the law. And I do love our country, I love our city, and I love our county. And I'm just praying that, you know, we'll get things set right. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. And thank you for your comments, and congratulations on your 73rd birthday.
Hi, I'm Goldman, El Paso County citizen. Commissioners, this is my 6th time addressing you on this publicly. I've spoken to you privately. I don't get it. Henry Allen was one of my best friends, and I miss him dearly, as we all do. He, one of the last things he did was a campaign manager for Greg Maxwell. And, you know, he was fighting for making sure the vote counts. We don't need witnesses. You can look at the state statute. Clerk Browerman is here, can come down and tell you what he did. The state statute says one thing. The Secretary of State's office wrote it into a rule that violates the statute. That's illegal. Clerk Browerman and his office chose to follow the rule from the Secretary of State's office instead of the state statute. I've explained this to my children. They understand it. It's simple. I don't know what else to say. I came down because I heard another group was coming down to address you on this. Last time I was here, I said to you, I think that you're acting cowardly. If you know that this is a problem and you're hiding it, you're being traitorous. I don't want to believe that about you. But here's the thing. There was an analogy about you being a owner of a bank. It was a good analogy to a point. The problem is we're the owners of the bank. We own the bank and you work for us. And I would like one of you, at least one, go to the press and tell them what you really think about this. If you really think that there's a possibility of fraud, speak out about it. As I said to you months ago, you will have no recourse if this next election is stolen and it's taken from you or the people you support because you didn't stand up when the people that you didn't want to win didn't win. You could have helped this election and voter confidence. You didn't. It's too late. But we're not going away. And I told you this, Stan. I asked you to get ahead of it. But you still won't. and these people aren't going away because we see our country eroding and we need the vote. You tell us to go out and vote. I have a voter guide. That's what I do. You know how important voter confidence is? And I've come down here and I said, do the recount. The recount was done illegally. It's clear. I filed an affidavit with the DA. I hope they're not shuffling papers and they're going to do something with it. I have it here. You can read it. Read the statute yourself. The statute says one thing. The rule that was followed by the clerk and recorder's office says something else. It's perfectly clear. Please. You're going to be judged for this, and we don't want to judge you. We elected you, we think, but we need you to represent us now and restore voter confidence. You and your inaction, and as Dietrich Bonhoeffer said, not to speak is to speak and not to act is to act. You have done more by your silence and your cowardice to hurt the election in El Paso County than any other people. Because you had the power, you had the political will of the people backing you up, and you wouldn't take it. But it's not too late. Be our heroes.
Your
Get
time is
ahead.
up. Please
yes,
wrap
I
up
know.
your comments.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, ma'am. And one last check. Anybody online? No. Okay, thank you.
Hello, Commissioners. I'm Amy Pendergraft. I live here in El Paso County. I've watched meetings online, but never come in to speak. Partly because I have small children, and partly because I can relate to Moses. I feel like I'm slow of speech and slow of tongue. The things I'm thinking and feeling don't always translate to words. And so I tell myself it's better to let others speak who are good at it. But every time I've watched these meetings, I've gone from disbelief at first, because I always think the best of people at first, just sure that they will do the right thing if they are only shown the truth. But then it changes from shock and disbelief to a quiet rage, because you have all been shown the truth, been pleaded with by patriots, truth seekers, some experts in technology who have told you time and time again that all computer software can be hacked, and you've hardened your hearts like Pharaoh. Before I was a full-time mom, I used to train dogs. I'm pretty good at reading body language. A few of you do not hide your guilt and fear very well. Fear because, at the very least, I believe you are complicit to the fraud that is happening, turning a blind eye. One likes to play both sides, another turning the guilt around because it's uncomfortable, has chosen to scold people coming in to speak like a mother scolds a child for speaking up out of turn. Another has gotten all too good at lying to themselves and doesn't even feel guilty anymore. If there are all these brave people raising their voices who feel this way, how many more are like me at home, being a Moses, afraid to speak up? And how many more feel this way, but are too busy to come to meetings, or don't even know about these meetings? We are not a fringe group, and we will not go away. We are not afraid of being scolded by you. What I've seen is that you don't listen to the people that you work for. What we're saying is that we do not consent to dominion. It doesn't have dominion over us. We know how easily it can be manipulated. We do not comply. Paper ballots, hand recounts, that's all we're asking for. Please. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments.
Good morning. My name is Linda Wilson, and you know that I ran in the last election. What a journey. It was quite educational. I'm so glad that I stepped out and did it. And most of you know that I did it for the reasons of election integrity, having a military background, working on testing of systems. I came to this position with some knowledge, and obviously national security was huge on my plate as far as fighting for our country. As you know, several candidates and myself asked for a recount, and the things that I learned was incredible. Just in the process, being in the room, I can tell you there's so many vulnerabilities just in the process. You know, we have Dominion system, and then we have the process, and of course we know about the mail-in, all those vulnerabilities. What I didn't realize is the violation of the law, that we would see a violation of the law. Chuck Broman did not do his job. There was supposed to be a hand count and a comparison, and that didn't happen. And you mentioned, well, take it up to the fraud folks. We took it to the courts. We took it to the district courts. We took it to the Colorado Supreme Court. And the judge would not listen to it. So my question is, what does it say when there's a violation of the law and our county commissioners don't do anything about it? Our judges don't do anything about it? What does that say as to where we are at as a nation? My civil rights, I did not ask for a recount because of sour grapes or because I was trying to overturn an election. I was trying to find the truth. And I had every right to look for a recount. That was my right, to find the truth. And what did I find? Lawlessness. My civil rights have been violated. And what does it say? If you guys are in a position to change this and investigate and don't, what does it say when you have that ability and you slough it off and say, go to the fraud department? I'm telling you, we've gone through what I think is the legal process, and we still don't have justice. Please do your job, be courageous, and fight for us. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, I only see one person still standing, so please come on down. And unless I see someone come up, I will assume that this person here will be the last one. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Hello, I'm Adriana Cuva, and I am the Canvas board member for El Paso County that did not certify the primary or the recount. I'm not sure if, I will just read a little bit of my minority report and why I did not certify the primary. On election day, I opened a ballot container. I was also an election judge. I opened a ballot container delivered from a Dropbox location with a log sheet containing only one judge's signature, not the required 2 bipartisan judges' signature. This was not an isolated event. Later that evening, as polls closed and ballot containers poured in, another judge stated, "I have an empty log sheet." A supervisor later announced, "Please let me know if you come across any blank log sheets so we can take care of it." This announcement clearly indicated that there were multiple blank log sheets, also missing information. Ballots cast. When we were opening up some more ballots, during my time as an election judge, we opened ballot Dropbox containers that included envelopes stating, "Stop the cheating. I told you this person passed away 20 years ago. And this person has never, or this person has never lived here. Stop sending ballots." Many undeliverable ballots with yellow USPS stickers were included in these drop boxes. and these drop box containers that are arrived from various locations throughout El Paso County. There is even a blue ballot from last year's election in the mix. For these reasons, I question the legitimacy of any ballot placed inside drop boxes. I think it's very important to note that a recent Supreme Court decision ruling in Wisconsin deemed ballot drop boxes illegal. Agilis machine. The Agilis machine is run by Runback. As the volume of ballots increased on the last 2 days, the Agilis machine began rejecting ballots at an alarming rate. Compared to earlier performance, these ballots filtered into the other slot, not the signature verification slot. These nearly 6,000 ballots were placed into red trays. I was told that they had signature discrepancies. They were purposely held to be signature verified the day following the election. I was prepared and judges would be well prepared and rested the following day. If the Agilis machine cannot handle all the ballots, then there's a problem with the system. One more thing, might as well read the next one. I'm not sure if you know that the envelopes were also stored not under the clerk and recorders, but they were stored in the assessor's office next door in his storage closet with all the crock pots and Christmas decorations. On the very first weekend, right after the ballots were delivered, we had an estimated, I remember bringing all the ballots in, 20,000 ballots on the first weekend after the ballots were dropped that were undeliverable. 20, that's just the first weekend. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Seeing no one else coming forward. Oh, I'm sorry, my apologies. You did raise your hand.
Morning. I'm Andrew Dalby, as you all know. I remember when I first voted, I went to something and the speaker said, my mom was a lifelong Republican, voted Republican her entire life. Of course, after she's died, she started voting Democrat. It's an old joke, and that's the point, is that the idea that Democrats have a long history of fraudulent voting is not a new one. Certainly, the 1960 presidential election was in question, or has been questioned as to how valid that was. The Chicago voting was not clean. This morning I was speaking with Duncan Bremer, who is a longtime Republican mover and shaker here in town. And he said that on Saturday there was a meeting to pick Tim Geithner's replacement, and that there was a certain faction that refused to allow a quorum. And he said he just didn't understand why they would refuse to do that. Well, there's a reason, and it's this, is that that faction doesn't believe that they're being heard. And I don't understand. I don't understand why you refuse to at least make a comment as to why you would support people's concerns. Chuck's here today. I'm sure he's going to talk about how he's doing the best he can, and unlike some of the people here, I believe him. I believe that he's doing the best that he can under a system that was implemented on a party line vote in 2013? Thank you. 2013. Mentioned before that Stan Vander Werf has tried to replace the wrong voting laws that we have with appropriate, secure voting laws. I think most everyone in this room agrees that in-person photo ID paper ballots are the most secure method of voting. The question is, why would you run interference for your political opponents and subvert integrity of the voting? Well, I think we all know, let's drop the pretense. We all know who's profiting off of the current system. There's two reasons you'd support the machines and the junk mail ballots. One is you hope to gain politically. That's, I don't believe, something that any of you are guilty of here. The other is that there's government money, government contracts involved. And we all know that there is a family in town that's profiting off of those. I would like you to rethink your allegiances and your alliances as to who you're running interference for and who you represent.
Thank you. All right, I believe that is the last person to provide public comment on items not scheduled on the agenda. Let us move now to item 10.
Item number 10 is the called up consent calendar, and there are no items called up.
Very good. Item number 11.
Item number 11 is a request to waive the survey area and set November 22nd, 2022 as the hearing date on the application by Cyan Corporation and Prime Property LLC, doing business as Rivon Gas and Convenience, for a retail fermented malt beverage off-premise liquor license to be located at 4140 South US Highway 8587, Commissioner District 4, Jackie Allred, Clerk to the Board. And if you'll give me a minute, I can come down to the podium.
All right, I didn't catch the last comments. Are you're speaking? Okay, thank you. Great.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jackie Allred, Clerk to the Board. Unfortunately, the applicant couldn't make the meeting today. He had an employee that had COVID, and so he is currently at the store. I feel comfortable moving forward with the item, and I can certainly pull up the backup material and give you a brief overview of the item. The applicant today is requesting to waive the neighborhood survey. The same applicant previously applied for a retail liquor store license, which the board approved on December 7th, 2021. Attached in this backup is the survey map and the previous survey recap, which is on the screen. He's asking to waive the neighborhood survey today. The retail liquor store license that was approved in December was never released to him. He ran into some construction issues and a tank underground, which prevented him from constructing the building. And so after weighing all of his options, he decided to surrender that liquor license and is subsequently applying for a retail fermented malt beverage license at the current existing convenience store. I will scroll through the previous survey and then also go back at I will attach the rules related to the board's decision to waive the neighborhood survey. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them on behalf of the applicant.
Okay, great. Are there any questions from any of the commissioners at this point? All right. I guess I do need to just see if there's anybody in the audience that wishes to comment on this item at all. All right, seeing none. And I don't see any questions from any of the commissioners, and there's no one here to testify one way or another on this item. So at this point, I'll entertain a motion from any of the commissioners.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is my district, so I feel comfortable moving forward and moving to approve item 11.
All right, I believe that is a motion.
Second.
And that's been moved and seconded. And since there were no comments from the commissioners, let's proceed with a vote. Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner?
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Aye.
Commissioner Bremer?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. And before we move on with the agenda, I do have a request from one of the commissioners for a brief break. So let's go ahead and go to recess for a quick break, and then we'll come back and reconvene. Okay, let's go ahead and call this meeting back to order. And we have completed item number 11. I think we are up to item number 12.
Item number 12 is department and committee reports, non-action items. 12A, election update. Chuck Browerman, clerk and recorder.
Mr. Browerman, please come up.
Chairman Vanderwerf, County Commissioner Chuck Browerman, the El Paso County Clerk and Recorder. I come to you periodically to give you an update on the election, and today is likewise. We are a week out from our election, so it's a very robust and very busy time for us. If I can get the presentation up. All right, if you can expand that, and then I'll take over from there. It's all right. All right, thank you. So status of the election right now. Currently, we have 6 voter service and polling centers that are open as by statute. They're open every day from 8 until 5 p.m. The 6 voter service and polling centers that we have open. And voter service and polling centers are an opportunity for people to vote in person. While we mail ballots to every registered voter, citizens may come and to a voter service and polling center. It's like a polling place on steroids. You may register to vote. You may update your voter registration. If you mismark your ballot and you would like a new ballot issued to you, we can do that. If you are a member of the disability community and you need one of the ADA accessible devices to mark your ballot, you may do so there. So it has a wide range of purposes, and it's open for citizens now through the election. Our offices that have a voter service polling center is at the Garden of God's office, Citizens Service Center on the main floor. At our Southeast Powers and Airport office, our DMV office, on the 2nd floor, we have our voter service and polling center open up at Fort Carson. So for our military men and women that wish to weigh in on election issues, or our retired community, or people who've access to the base may vote at that facility. Right here, just down the hallway at Centennial Hall here, we have a voter service and polling center. It's one of our more popular ones. And then at the University of Colorado Springs, Colorado Springs, in the Kettle Creek room, which is located right behind the elevated soccer field you see as you're going past there. We have a facility there. That is one that is required by law for us to have on college campuses, over 3,000 students. On Friday, we will open 17 additional VSBCs. The heavy lift begins for our staff to open up those additional facilities. So Friday through the weekend, we will have a total of 17 additional ones, and you can go to our website, epcvotes.com, to get the complete listing. On Friday, they'll be open from 8 to 5 p.m., and then we have Saturday office hours for citizens, for people who can't come Monday through Friday but want to be able to vote in person. We'll be open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and then Election Day Monday, those ones that we open up on Friday are open as on Election Day. And then next week, Monday, on Election Day Monday, we open 14 additional ones, and those will be open, all 37 will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. As I mentioned before, the services you can receive at the VSBC, you can register to vote, you can vote your ballot, you can request a replacement one, vote on an ADA accessible ballot marking device, you can drop off your ballot. Besides the 39 drop boxes we have around the county that are secure, that under camera monitoring, we have staff that is election judges that are viewing that. You can drop the ballot in our vote center, or you can vote in person. I will tell people who are planning to vote in person, please don't wait until the last minute. I know there's been some folks that said, wait until the last day. You'll break the algorithm. There's no such thing as that. You vote on a paper ballot, the same paper ballot that you were mailed one. We check the signatures on our mail ballot that are returned to verify it as you and only you. We do that also in a vote center. Those ballots are taken from the vote center, transported chain of custody logs, and in a secure way back to our ballot processing area where they will be tabulated just like the mail ballots that were returned to us. If you decide to wait until Election Day, which is your right to do so, do plan on the fact that an educated person with the length of the ballot, the largest in 34 years, it will take some time to get through. So plan 15 to 20 minutes to vote that. There will be typically lines on Election Day. And we start to post results after the last person votes in a vote center. So if someone gets in line shortly before 7 p.m., we will not start releasing results until those polls are closed and those people have voted.
Question?
Yes, Commissioner, go ahead.
What about someone who gets in line at 7:05?
7:05, unfortunately, the law is you must be in line either at a drop box. If you're at a drop box, if you're in line at 7 o'clock, you'll be able to put it in the box, or at a voter service or polling center. If you enter the line at 7:01 or later, you'll miss your opportunity. So life can happen on Election Day. I encourage people to vote before that. While it's their right to do so, life gets in the way. Something happens at work, something with your kid gets sick or has dance recital or something after work, after school. Those things come up, and don't lose your voice by not being able to vote in time. So I encourage people not to wait until the last minute to do so.
And I have a second question, if that's
Please
okay.
proceed.
Monday was the last day we should put a ballot in the mail.
That is correct.
I have a family member, I think, put hers in the mail on Monday, so I'm hoping the Pony Express makes it. Might not this year, so, because she's in California. So thank you.
Now, there is a way to check that to make sure that the vote was recorded. Is that
Yes,
correct?
then I can tell her that information.
Yeah, Ballot Tracks is a useful tool if you're not signed up for it already. I request or ask people to consider doing so. That lets you know when we receive your ballot. And then once we accepted your signature on that, that is now going to processing. So you get confirmation, one, that's been received, and then two, that it's been accepted and going on to the tabulation area. A great feature for people to sign up for. Here is our ballot returns by day, and you can see the party breakout down by Democrat, Republican, unaffiliated voters, and also minor party. So far, we've had, this was written early in the day yesterday as I prepared for this, 56,000 as of last night. We're actually now over 60,000. We believe we'll get to 270,000 people that will vote, approximately 60%. There's still a week to do that, so we expect somewhere north of 200,000 ballots to come in the next week. The breakdown on who has returned ballots so far, of the ballots that have been returned, 38% are by Republican-affiliated voters, 24% by Democrat-affiliated voters, and 35% by unaffiliated voters. Just to give you a gauge of how the participation is going, Republicans comprise 32% of the registered voters in El Paso County, so 38% have returned, so that shows that they're slightly overperforming by 6-7%. The Democrats are at 18%, they're at 6% or so. Also, unaffiliated make up about 45 to 47% of the electorate. 35% of them have voted so far. Sometimes they're a little reticent, but also they tend to vote at a lesser percentage than of the two major political parties. This next slide gets to be a busy one. This is the breakdown by each of the districts that are on the ballot, and then also the number of Democrat, Republicans, and unaffiliated and minor parties that have returned ballots. Pretty busy. Take time to study that, but it kind of shows the breakdown by districts so far of people who have returned ballots. Here is in our voter service and polling center. Typically 3, 4, 5%, 6% people may vote in in a voter service and polling center. We've seen that number kind of decrease over the years. We believe that's because people like the convenience and the security of voting their mail ballot that they return to us by drop box. But it is an option that people have. Here's the breakdown by days, by party affiliation. So far, we've had 272 people that have returned ballots. In the June primary, we had 1.2%, 1.3% that utilized that in-person option. So to piggyback on what Commissioner Williams said, yes, it is too late to return your ballot by the U.S. Postal Service. It would have cost you 60 cents to do so. Please utilize one of our 39 secure 24/7 drop boxes that we have located through the county. I will tell citizens that our drop box that is at the Park and Ride at Black Forest and Woodman, because there's some construction going on there, they have one of the two entrances open. The entrance on Woodman is the one that I will advise you to go through. The one off the Black Forest Road is blocked because they're doing road construction there. So far, we've had election judges that have viewed over 2,300 hours of video surveillance, have seen no issues. We had people that were viewing the drop boxes in the primary, over 3,600 hours, saw no issues. Last minute reminders, make sure you sign the back of your envelope, ballot envelope, return envelopes consistently. Sign up for ballot tracks as you had mentioned, Chairman Vanderwerth. And if for some reason you received a ballot from a deceased member or someone who no longer lives there, how could that happen? Well, we get the list from the Social Security Administration periodically and from the Department of Public Health. Sometimes there's a little bit of lag. Help us out by, if you do have a family member that has passed away, right on the front of the ballot, return to center, check the box on the back of the envelope, and then drop that in the U.S. Postal Service box, not our ballot box, but the U.S. Postal Service. That will then get affixed the yellow sticker, and under statute, then I'm allowed to decrement that. Just throwing it back in the mail or drop box and saying, this person no longer lives there, that does not give me the statutory authority to do so. Same thing if somebody has moved out of your household. 1 out of 8 citizens in El Paso County move every year. A good chunk of them will use the national change of address to advise us that they've changed. A small percentage will not. You can help us by, if somebody's moved, checking that box and putting return to center. Now, some people may live in a house that they're renting from a property management company. Some people who are away from El Paso County, they may be overseas defending our country. They may have a property management company that is managing that facility. They may be working or studying abroad. They still use that as their last known address. So that's why sometimes maybe you get mail addressed to somebody that isn't there. So if you come across those two situations, check the box, put return to sender on the front and throw it in the U.S. Postal Service. And then finally, I'd like to thank County Administrator Brett Walters for his team's help. I'd like to thank also Brian Olson. This weekend, we had the Manitou Chamber of Commerce use our parking facility at the Garden of the Gods location. After I visited our UTC office for motor vehicle transactions and VSBC, I then traveled to our Citizen Service Center. I saw school buses starting to park up into the roundabout by our drop box. I was able to work with the volunteers from the Chamber of Commerce to get them to reposition those buses, and then Brian Olson came in and gave us a hand and helped refine that process a little bit so citizens could go to the parade and to the coffin races, and still citizens could get to our boxes. So it's a credit to our team, not only in elections, but also throughout the county that help us to run elections. If people have questions, call 575-VOTE or 575-863, or email us at elections@epc.com, or you can visit our website for more information at epcvotes.com. And with that, that is all I have.
Great, Mr. Brownman, thank you. Are any commissioners, any questions yet? Commissioner Williams?
I know in previous elections, we might have had a problem with the boot barn drop box, and so I was wondering if you could contact Mr. Olson about that one as well this
Yeah,
time.
we'll be reaching out to the organizers of that facility to keep that drop box free. I know there's an event that is going on that evening, so they'll need to leave a couple spots available for citizens, last minute folks to be able to drop their ballot off at that location.
Thank you. And do you know if you'll have election judges there at the box?
We will. We
Okay,
will.
thank
we will.
you.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Gonzalez?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Mr. Borman, I think you heard some of the comments earlier. Sure. I did have a question and would like this one answered because I think there was some confusion. I have advised people, based on information I've been previously told, that if they want to go in and look and take a sampling of ballots, whether it's a random box to go to look at ballots, that we are allowed, or the public is allowed to go in and count those manually to check to see if they're in correspond to election results. And I was previously told, and I've been telling people, that they can actually look at the actual printed ballot, not a copy of that. And I just want to confirm that because I have offered up to volunteer to sit down and count those ballots with whoever wants to do that. And so I just want to make sure that we're looking at the actual ballot because I do think that people have the best trust in looking at an actual printed ballot, not something that's been a photocopy of.
Sure. So you're correct, Commissioner Gonzalez. By law, a digital image of the ballot has the same lawful weight as a paper ballot, but I can understand people want to look at the paper ballot. We have in years past made available up to 2 hours for people to come in and pick any box, any packet, and we'll sit with them and they can count during that period of time. They can do their own tallies. We've had people that have taken us up on that in other years. So I will ask people to refrain from making that request today because we have an election space that needs to be used for this election. But after that, I'm more than happy to entertain people that want to come in at a 2-hour increment and look at those paper ballots, most certainly.
And again, I asked the public, I'll volunteer to help count those. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Commissioner. Are there any other questions? All right, thank you, Mr.
All right,
Brown.
thank you.
Appreciate the election update.
Thank you.
Excuse me. I think we are now on to item 13.
Item number 13 is the addendum. There's no requests for addendum today.
All right, item 14.
Item number 14 is the executive session pursuant to CRS 246402 4B and E. The County Attorney's Office is requesting an executive session regarding a notice of claim filed by Kathy Reed, next of kin to Addison Reed, a litigation preservation notice filed by David Murray, next of kin to Daniel Murray, a preservation notice from David Maxted, an attorney investigating the April 26th death of Christo Cannett, a preservation notice from the firm of Holland, Edwards, and Grossman regarding the October 14th, 2022 death of Felicia Hudson, the September 27th, 2022 correspondence from Kilmer Lane and Newman regarding the June 9th, 2022 suicide of Desiree Archuleta and related matters. The purposes of the executive session include 1. Conference with the County Attorney's Office for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions related to potential litigation matters as referenced above, and 2. Determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and instructing negotiators regarding the above referenced matters. Kenneth Hodges, County Attorney. Chris Strider, Assistant County Attorney.
Great, thank you very much. And so we have a agenda item to go into executive session. At this time, I'll entertain a motion from any of the commissioners.
I move we go into executive session for the purposes stated on the record.
Second.
And that's been moved and seconded. Let's go ahead and proceed with a vote. Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner?
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Aye.
Commissioner Bremer?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 5-0. So we are now in executive session, and let's reconvene. If I'm looking at that clock right, how about 11:45, 10 minutes from now?